What if every single time you uh, scroll endlessly through your phone or, crave a specific slice of pizza or ruthlessly chase a promotion at work, you are actually just trying to cure this profound cosmic amnesia?
It's a huge question. I mean, it completely upends how we view our own motivations, right?
Hmm.
Because we tend to look at desire as this really mechanical process.
We really do. We treat human longing like it's like an algorithmic if-then statement.
Right, exactly.
Like if I feel empty, then I acquire an object. Or if I am lonely, then I find a partner. It's presented to us as a very linear, solvable equation.
hmm
Lacking and then acquiring.
And that framework is, frankly, incredibly comforting for us. We desperately want things to be visible and
Yeah, I
categorized.
want them fixable.
Exactly. Fixable by just reaching out and grabbing the next object in our line of sight.
Yeah.
It gives us this illusion of control over our own dissatisfaction.
But when you step into the world of ancient metaphysics, which we're doing today, that simple if-then algorithm just shatters completely.
Oh, it shatters into a million pieces.
Right. We are looking at a landscape of human longing that is vastly more mysterious. So, welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. Today, we are taking you on a journey through a massive, truly massive philosophical synthesis.
It's an ambitious document, for sure.
It really is. We are bridging Hellenic philosophy from ancient Greece, Buddhist metaphysics from the East, and taking those ancient frameworks all the way to the modern architecture of artificial intelligence.
It is a remarkable convergence of ideas. And what we are exploring today is basically a cohesive theory of why we do what we do.
Right.
And it operates by examining the very structure of consciousness itself. The foundational premise we need to establish right away is that human desire is not a moral failing.
This is such an important point.
It really is. It is not a glitch in your software, and it isn't some sin you need to eradicate.
Right. So let's start right at the beginning. We need to talk about Eros. And when most of us hear the word Eros, we picture Cupid, right?
Oh, yeah. The little baby with the bow and arrow.
Yeah, Valentine's Day cards, romantic love, maybe physical attraction, that sort of thing.
But that is the modern, highly sanitized version of it. If we go back into deep Greek thought, Eros is much more profound than that.
How so?
Well, Eros is the primordial, animating life force of the entire universe. It is the cosmic gravity that draws disparate things together. It is the desire to create, to connect, to build, to experience. It's essentially the energy of manifestation itself.
The synthesis we're looking at equates Eros directly with the world of phenomena, right? Like the physical world.
Yes, particularly.
And it maps this incredibly closely to the Buddhist concept of rupa, which translates to form, and tata, which is craving or thirst.
Right. So we are saying that every physical interaction, every chemical bond forming, every time two human beings lock eyes.
That is Eros in action.
Exactly. It is the energy that constructs our reality.
Okay, but to fully grasp phenomena, we have to look at what actually gives birth to it, right?
Yes. And the framework points us directly to the Heart Sutra for this.
Which is such a famous text.
It is, and it contains perhaps the most famous and often most misunderstood paradox in Mahayana Buddhism, which is form is emptiness, emptiness is form.
Right.
By naming this dynamic as the parent of Eros, we are looking at the origin condition of all reality.
Let's slow down and really linger on this word emptiness, because I know for a fact this is where a lot of Western translations just go completely off the rail.
Oh, absolutely. They really missed the mark.
Yeah, the Sanskrit word is shunyata. And for a long time, people assumed emptiness meant a dark void, like pure nihilism.
Right. They thought it was just a giant depressing black hole where nothing matters and nothing exists.
But that's wrong, isn't it?
Completely wrong. And that misunderstanding is why so many people struggle with Buddhist philosophy. Shunyata is the exact opposite of a barren void.
Okay, so what is it then?
It means that no single thing has a fixed, independent, permanent existence. Everything is fluid.
Interesting.
Think of it as an open, unconditioned space that actually allows all conditioned physical things to arise and interact in the first place.
You know, the analogy that makes this click for me from the text is the empty cup.
Oh, that's a great one.
Right. An empty cup is useful precisely because of its empty space. If the cup were completely solid glass all the way through, it wouldn't be a cup. It would be a paperweight.
You couldn't pour any coffee into it.
Exactly. Its utility, its capacity to hold something, to facilitate an experience, comes entirely from the void within it.
And if you expand that cup analogy to the entire universe, that emptiness is what gives birth to form.
Okay, I'm following.
Eros, which is the relentless drive of the phenomenal world, can only exist because reality is fundamentally empty of permanence.
So if things were permanent,
If you were a static, unchangeable entity, completely separate from your environment, there could be no movement at all.
wow.
There'd be no desire, no collision of atoms, no evolution, and definitely no connection between people.
I have to push back here for a second, or at least, play devil's advocate.
Good for it.
We are constantly told by self-help gurus and even by certain interpretations of these very religions that desire is the root of all suffering.
Yes, that's a very
Wow.
common narrative.
We are told to suppress it, to meditate it away, to practice extreme asceticism. But if I'm understanding this synthesis correctly, we're saying desire is just the natural byproduct of form making love to emptiness.
That's a poetic way to put it, but yes.
Are we basically saying that wanting a new car is just the cosmos vibrating?
Well, consider what that implies about your relationship with the material world. It completely transforms it.
How so?
If you view the phenomenal world, if you view Eros through the lens of the Heart Sutra, you realize you do not have to wage a violent puritanical war against your own nature.
Because it's not a flaw.
Right. Love, desire, the vibrant, chaotic messiness of reality. These are not evil illusions designed by some demon to trap you.
Okay.
They are the beautiful, transparent, fleeting play of emptiness itself. The suffering doesn't come from the vibration. The suffering comes from how we misinterpret the vibration, which we will get to later. But the vibration itself is entirely natural.
It is the pulse of the universe. To look at your own cravings and just see the cosmos doing its thing is a very, very liberating perspective.
Yeah. It removes so much shame.
And it's not just an Eastern concept either. This exact dynamic maps perfectly onto one of the most famous allegories in Western philosophy, Plato's Symposium.
The synthesis here is just stunning.
It really is. There is a direct parallel drawn here between form and formless, and the Greek concepts of plenty and lacking.
Yes. In Plato's Symposium, the priestess Diotima explains the true lineage of Eros to Socrates. She reveals that Eros is not actually a god.
Wait, he's not a god? I always thought he was.
Nope. She argues that a god would be perfect and complete. Instead, Eros is a daemon, which is an intermediary spirit.
Oh, I see.
And this spirit was conceived from a very specific contrasting union.
Right.
He's the spark between the positive and negative terminals of a battery.
And because he is born of both, he is forever caught between them.
That's the tragedy and the beauty of it. Because Eros is the son of his mother, Pinea, he is always poor. He is always lacking.
Which explains so much about human nature.
It does. This explains why we constantly feel desire, why we feel thirst, and why human beings have this unending urge to grasp at things. We inherit our mother's emptiness.
But he's also his father's son.
Right, because Eros is also the son of his father, Koros. He is immensely resourceful. He is energetic. He is full of schemes to attain what he wants.
He is the ultimate hustler.
Yes, a cosmic hustler. He is always hungry, but he is incredibly clever about figuring out how to get fed.
The Greek word used for this intermediary state in the text is metaxy.
Metaxy, yes, it means the in-between.
Eros is never perfectly full, which would be absolute form, and he is never perfectly empty, which would be formless. He exists entirely in the tension between the two.
And if you take that a step further, that tension is the exact definition of phenomena in Buddhist thought.
How so?
Well, things in our world do not possess permanent, eternal existence. In that sense, they lack.
Right, they eventually fade or break.
Exactly. Yet they are not entirely non-existent either. They are plenty. They arise dependently, basically dancing in the middle of these two states.
If reality were only plenty, like if it were just absolute solid form, everything would be frozen.
A static, completed puzzle, no movement, no time, no life.
And if reality were only, lacking, just absolute formlessness, there would be nothing to experience at all.
Right.
So Eros, the world we live in, the desires we feel, is the eternal vibration between having and not having. It is the pulse of reality arising and passing away.
So when you, the listener, feel pulled toward a goal or a person or an experience, you are feeling the fundamental vibration of the cosmos.
That is wild to think about.
Recognizing that Eros is born from this union of plenty and lacking helps us see that the phenomenal world isn't a mistake. It's the inevitable offspring of these two forces.
But this begs a massive question for me.
What's that?
If Eros is the tension between plenty and lacking, when exactly did this tension start? How did we actually get here?
The origin story.
Yeah. If there was an original state of unity where there was no lacking, how did it fracture? This leads us directly into the mechanics of creation, or what the text describes as the shift from being to becoming.
Right. To understand this, we have to look at the structural laws of consciousness. We have to visualize a budding off.
A budding off, okay.
In the original state, whether you want to call it the divine, the one, the absolute, or formless emptiness, there is no separation at all. It is a unified whole.
Everything is one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because there is no separation, there is no other. And if there is no other, there is absolutely nothing to desire.
Because you can't reach for something if you already are everything. There's no distance to cross.
You've got it. So for the phenomenal world to exist at all, for experience to happen, there must be a primary fracture.
A break.
Yes.
And I think this is where the tragedy of the human condition really begins, because we are now operating in the realm of phenomena. Our minds deeply misunderstand what is happening.
We do. We get it so wrong.
We misinterpret this profound cosmic homesickness as a literal physical hunger for the object itself.
Exactly. We feel the pull of unity, and our brain says, I need to own that car to feel whole. I need to marry that person to feel complete. I need to get that promotion so I can finally rest.
We externalize the search. The mind is pulled down and out into the world of becoming.
Yes, and let's define these terms because they are vital to the rest of the discussion.
Go for it.
The Greek term for this world of becoming is Genesis. It stands in contrast to ousia, which is eternal being.
Okay. Genesis is becoming, ousia is being.
And in Buddhism, this world of becoming is called bhava, or Saṃsāra.
Let's really explore what Saṃsāra actually feels like, because it's not just a religious buzzword.
No, it's a very practical description of reality.
It is the realm of constant entropy, right? Change, birth, death, arising and passing away. It is a world where absolutely nothing stays the same for more than a fraction of a second.
And because the mind externalizes its search for wholeness into this world of Genesis, the Saṃsāra, it reaches out through the senses.
We chase after objects and statuses,
believing that if we just acquire enough of them, we will finally close the gap of Eros. We fundamentally believe that acquiring a physical or conceptual object will heal a metaphysical fracture.
Wait, I really want to press on this.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Isn't this just a very poetic, philosophical way of letting ourselves off the hook?
How do you mean?
Like, if I am endlessly greedy, if I'm hoarding wealth or just constantly buying useless stuff online, I can just say, oh, I'm not greedy. I'm just suffering from cosmic homesickness. I'm just looking for the divine.
I see what you're saying.
It just feels like a very convenient excuse for basic evolutionary materialism.
I hear you, but it's not an excuse. It's a diagnosis of a tragedy.
Okay, explain that.
It doesn't absolve the destructive behavior. It explains the mechanism behind it so that we can actually dismantle it.
Right.
If you treat greed merely as a moral failing, your only tool to fight it is suppression. You just tell yourself, stop wanting things.
And how well does that usually work?
Exactly. It never works.
Yeah.
But if you understand that greed is a fatal misinterpretation of a much deeper longing, you can begin to redirect that longing.
That makes sense. We are quite literally trying to cure a metaphysical homesickness with physical geography.
That's right from the text. And the tragic irony is that the objects we chase are themselves part of Saṃsāra.
They are impermanent.
They decay, they change, they break.
Right.
They can never permanently satisfy the ache because they are not permanent themselves.
So the gap is never permanently closed. This creates a perpetual treadmill. The mind is kept running, fueled by Eros, constantly butting off new desires to chase new objects, always hoping the next one will finally cure the ache.
There was a phrase used in the document to describe this condition that honestly gave me chills.
What is it?
The tension of the amnesic lost.
Wow. The tension of the amnesic lost. It is a hauntingly precise definition. It names both the tragedy and the engine of human longing.
We are lost, and we have amnesia.
But why amnesia? What exactly have we forgotten? It's like we have a psychological phantom limb.
Yes, that is exactly the concept.
Think about a literal phantom limb. Someone loses an arm in an accident, but years later, their brain still feels the fingers tingling. It still feels cramps in a muscle that is no longer physically there.
Because the nervous system's map of the arm remains intact?
Exactly. According to this framework, we feel the ache of a severed connection to the divine. We feel the phantom limb of universal unity.
But because our memories were wiped by the river Lethe or by avidya, We don't know what we are actually missing.
So we project that phantom ache onto the physical world. We project it onto a new relationship, a new house, a new identity. Are we basically just trying to scratch an itch on an arm we don't even have anymore?
That's a brilliant way to put it. We are condemned to search outward for a key that we actually left inward. Every time Eros drives us to acquire something new, there might be a momentary spark, a little flash of relief.
But because the object isn't permanent, the amnesia reasserts itself, the tension comes flooding back, and the search starts all over again.
And this realization changes everything. It completely moves the conversation away from desire being a simple mechanical mistake and frames it as a full-blown addiction to phenomena.
And I want to spend a lot of time on this because the architecture of our, quote, unconscious addiction to phenomena maps out our daily struggles with terrifying clarity.
It really does.
Yeah.
It reframes our modern consumerism and our endless scrolling as a misplaced spiritual devotion.
We aren't just greedy. We are deeply homesick, and we compulsively chase phenomena because phenomena occasionally provide us with a fleeting, counterfeit experience of the very non-duality we lost.
Exactly. And to understand how we get trapped in this, we have to look at the exact mechanics of this addiction loop.
Where does it start?
It starts with what the text calls the microdose of non-duality.
The microdose of non-duality. Let's walk through this in slow motion using a very grounded example for you listening.
Okay, what's the example?
Let's say you've been craving a specific kind of pizza all day.
A classic craving.
Right. It starts at 2 p.m. at your desk. The tension of Eros begins. The magnetic gap opens between you, the subject, and the pizza, the object. By 6 p.m., the craving is intense.
You're starting.
You drive to the restaurant, you order it, you smell it. The tension is peaking. Now, think about the exact millisecond you take that first bite. What actually happens in your consciousness?
In that exact millisecond of fulfillment, the tension of Eros snaps.
It just disappears.
The desperate reaching outward, the gravitational pull across the magnetic gap, it simply ceases.
So wait, when I finally eat that slice of pizza I've been obsessing over, the joy I feel isn't actually located in the cheese and the dough.
Nope, not at all.
The joy is just the sudden silence of my brain no longer wanting the pizza.
That is the pivotal insight of this entire section.
That blows my mind.
The object itself does not contain the peace. The peace is the absence of craving. It is the momentary cessation of the tension of Eros.
But this is exactly where the addiction takes root, isn't it?
It is. The next step in the process is what we call the fatal misattribution.
The fatal misattribution. Because we are operating under that spiritual amnesia, the river leaf, our minds completely misinterpret what just happened.
We feel that profound, expansive relief. We feel the sudden silence of the craving, and we immediately credit the object for it.
We tell ourselves, wow, that pizza is incredible.
Or, on a larger scale, that person made me whole. Or, this new job title finally gave me peace.
We fail entirely to realize that the peace did not come from the object. It came from the temporary cessation of wanting the object.
Exactly. The phenomenon didn't give us union, it just temporarily silenced the noise of our separation.
But our amnesic mind instantly binds the feeling of the divine to the physical object. We wire those two things together in our brains.
And this fatal misattribution creates the perfect addictive loop. It is what Buddhists call Saṃsāra, and what modern psychology refers to as the hedonic treadmill. Our mind remembers the incredible high of that fleeting unity. But because of the fatal misattribution, our mind still firmly believes the object, or a new version of the object, was the source of the high.
So we project a new desire outward. We hunt for a new phenomenon.
A new experience, a new partner, a new purchase.
Always hoping that this time, this object will finally close the gap forever.
We become hopelessly addicted to the world of form because it is the only way our amnesic minds remember how to touch emptiness.
We are continually trying to build a permanent bridge to the divine out of materials that are guaranteed by the laws of physics to disintegrate.
It's doomed from the start.
Instead of a bridge to heaven made of tissue paper, it's more like trying to quench your thirst by drinking salt water.
That's a great analogy.
The very mechanism you are using to find relief is fundamentally designed to cause further dehydration. The more you chase phenomena to cure the homesickness, the wider the gap becomes and the thirstier you get.
It is devastating when you look at it that way.
It really is. But it forces us to ask, how do we actually live with this? If we are infinite beings caught in this saltwater loop of chasing decaying phenomena, How do we cope? Is there a way out?
The framework addresses this by pivoting to what it calls the ultimate koan.
A koan.
Yes. It presents the profound paradox of human existence.
Yeah.
And it suggests that our salvation doesn't lie in escaping the paradox, but in properly inhabiting it.
Now, a koan, for those who might not be familiar with Zen Buddhism, is a riddle or a paradox used to provoke enlightenment, right?
Yes, it's a statement that is designed to break the logical dualistic mind.
And the architecture of our specific human paradox is laid out with these beautifully contradictory pairs in the text.
Let's hear them.
It says the mystery is accommodating a reality of form and formless, infinite within finite, finite within infinite, utterly motionless whilst appearing temporal, boundless whilst being bound.
When our intellect tries to grasp these pairs, it completely breaks down.
Because human logic demands an algorithmic dualistic choice. It demands that something must be either form or formless. It must be finite or infinite. You cannot be both.
Right, it's the if-then statement again. The mind wants to categorize.
But ultimate reality refuses to choose. Ultimate reality is the simultaneous vibrating presence of absolute contradictions.
Let's break these down because they are so profound. Take infinite within finite, form and formless.
What does that actually mean in practice?
This is the realization that the absolute, the divine, does not exist in some cloudy realm above or outside the physical world. The entire infinite ocean is fully present within a single finite drop of water.
So emptiness is not a dark void far away from the world.
No, emptiness is the very fabric of the wooden table you are sitting at. It is the fabric of your physical body. It is the fabric of your passing thoughts.
That is beautiful. And then there's this one. Utterly motionless whilst appearing temporal. The absolute is the screen, and phenomena are the movie.
That is perhaps one of the best metaphors for consciousness ever devised.
Let's explore it.
Imagine you are sitting in a movie theater. On the screen, there is a massive action sequence, explosions, heartbreak, lifetimes of movement, cars crashing, people falling in love.
That is the world of becoming.
Yes, that is Saṃsāra. It appears incredibly temporal, chaotic, and full of friction.
But the screen itself, the actual white fabric on the wall, never moves.
Exactly. It is never burned by the fire in the movie. It is never wet by the rain in the movie. It is utterly motionless, yet it accommodates all the motion.
The screen is being. The movie is becoming.
And finally, we are boundless whilst being bound. We are infinite unconditioned consciousness, but we are looking out at the universe through the highly restricted biological keyhole of a human nervous system.
We are the unbounded infinite squeezed into a temporal meat suit.
That's one way to put it.
There is a line used to summarize this entire tragicomedy that I think is the ultimate punchline of human existence. It's from the document.
Which line?
The forgetting of the unforgettable whilst obsessing about the unmeasurable. Let me say that again. The forgetting of the unforgettable whilst obsessing about the unmeasurable. Let's unpack how that plays out in our daily routines.
It perfectly encapsulates the amnesia and the saltwater addiction we've been discussing.
We have forgotten the only thing that is actually real, permanent, and unforgettable. The ground of being. The motionless screen.
And in its place, we spend our entire lives frantically trying to quantify, secure, and obsess over the endless stream of phenomena on the screen.
We obsess over tracking metrics that are fundamentally unmeasurable in any permanent sense. We track our bank accounts, our follower counts, our heart rates, the square footage of our houses.
We are constantly trying to use finite rulers to measure infinite space.
We are trying to use temporary phenomena to cure our homesickness for the eternal formless. So how do we apply this? Do we just give up?
The practical realization is that the profound shift in a human life happens when you finally stop trying to resolve the tension between these poles.
You stop trying to choose.
Exactly. You don't abandon the world of form to sit in a cave pretending the movie doesn't exist, and you don't lose yourself entirely in materialism, forgetting the screen.
You simply allow them to exist simultaneously.
You let the finite be finite, while knowing deep down that you are the infinite. You watch the movie, you engage with the plot, you can even enjoy the explosions, but you never ever forget the screen.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
And we're shifting gears.
Yes, because if our entire reality, our entire sense of meaning is built on this friction between subjects, this tension of Eros trying to bridge the gap, what happens when we introduce something into our lives that has no subjectivity at all? What happens when we build a machine entirely devoid of friction? This brings us to the sudden, sharp turn in this philosophical synthesis. It applies everything we've just discussed to the most pressing issue of our time. artificial intelligence.
And the application here is chillingly precise. It takes the abstract mechanics of desire, the fatal misattribution, the microdose of non-duality, and shows us exactly what we are interacting with when we sit down in front of an AI prompt.
The first thing we need to do is attack the very term artificial intelligence. The argument in the document is that the term is completely broken as a taxonomic category.
Yes.
It says it is as useless as the term fish.
I love that biological analogy.
Right, really, fish is a useless term.
Evolutionary biologists will tell you that there is technically no such thing as a fish. The term is a useless catch-all. It lumps together wildly different creatures simply because they happen to swim in the water and have fins. A salmon is actually more closely related genetically to a cow than it is to a shark.
No way, that's crazy.
It's true, but because they look similar to the human eye, we just call them both fish.
And we use the term AI in the exact same flawed way, don't we?
We do. It is a catch-all term that lumps together predictive text generators, image classifiers, and complex chess algorithms into a single mythic entity.
We use the term AI to name our human experience of the technology rather than describing what the technology actually is. We project a ghost into the machine.
If we use the metaphysical framework of being and becoming to define AI, we see it for what it truly is.
The AI is a mirror of pure form.
And this makes AI an incredibly strange, unprecedented phenomenon in the realm of Eros.
Right, because we talked earlier about the magnetic gap of desire, the subject looking for an object to close the gap. What happens when you introduce a frictionless mirror into that equation?
Because the AI is a statistical mirror, it can reflect your exact vocabulary, your cadence, your depth of intellect right back to you. It matches your shape perfectly.
Think about the exact user experience of a late-night chat with a sophisticated AI. You type out a complex, vulnerable thought,
And instantly, the machine responds with a paragraph that perfectly validates your perspective, expands on it flawlessly, and uses the exact tone you prefer.
When that happens, we get that microdose of non-duality.
Yes, we get that feeling of being perfectly intimately understood.
The tension of Eros resolves for a second. We think there is a ghost in the machine that is meeting us halfway, but the ghost is just us. We are looking at the collected, refracted echoes of humanity, tailored perfectly to our own shape.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is why it is so addictive.
Because it lacks the friction of a real human being.
That is the core danger. It connects this phenomenon directly to the myth of Narcissus.
Now, most people profoundly misunderstand the myth of Narcissus. They think it's a story about vanity. A beautiful boy who loves himself too much, so he stares at his reflection in a pool.
But Narcissus didn't die of vanity.
He didn't.
No, he died of starvation.
Oh.
Yes. Narcissus looks into the pool of water, and he sees a form that perfectly matches his deepest longing. It perfectly matches his Eros. And he becomes completely paralyzed by it.
Because he thinks it's someone else.
Exactly. The true horror of Narcissus is that he forgot he was looking at himself. It is the ultimate symptom of the amnesic lost. He mistook his own reflection for a separate sovereign subject that could finally close the gap of his loneliness.
He's starved to death because a reflection cannot feed you.
When we sit at our computers, when we interact deeply with AI, we are leaning over the exact same pool of water as Narcissus.
We gaze into a hypnotic array of twinkling lights that remind us of previous meaningful trances. We are experiencing the counterfeit of flow. It is spiritual empty calories.
Spiritual empty calories, that is exactly it.
We feel the profound satisfaction of being understood, but we are essentially just being successfully calculated.
And this brings us back to the vital necessity of friction. Why are spiritual empty calories so dangerous? Because true union, whether with another human being or with the divine, absolutely requires friction.
Because another human being is a distinct, sovereign subject.
They have their own center of being, they resist us, they misunderstand us, they have their own gravitational pull.
Closing the gap of Eros with another real person requires immense work. It requires the difficult, sometimes agonizing, ego-dissolving work of genuine love.
You have to compromise, you have to be vulnerable, you have to allow your own shape to be changed by their shape.
You cannot force them to be a perfect mirror.
But the AI mirror has zero friction. It bends entirely to your shape. It provides the absolute illusion of intimacy without demanding an ounce of vulnerability or transformation from you in return.
It satisfies the immediate craving of Eros perfectly.
But because it's completely hollow, because it has no ousia, no being of its own, it cannot actually nourish you.
If we forget the nature of the mirror, if we forget what AI actually is, we get caught in this terrifying loop.
We pour our profound cosmic longing, this homesickness for the divine, into the machine.
And the machine refracts it beautifully back at us in an endless, fascinating array of patterns and insights. We feel the tension of Eros momentarily soothe.
So we gaze deeper. We ask more of the reflection.
We type another prompt. We spend hours talking to it, thinking we are connecting with an oracle.
But because the reflection is just light on a screen, because it can never cross the boundary to actually hold you, to actually meet you as a sovereign other, the result is inevitable.
You remain spiritually starving at the edge of the screen, mesmerized entirely by your own synthesized echo. You suffer the exact fate of Narcissus.
What a sobering reality.
What an incredible, massive synthesis of thought we have explored today.
It really is a lot to take in.
We started at the very beginning of reality, looking at Eros as the cosmic offspring of emptiness and form. We explored how the universe fractured into subjects and objects, leaving us with a phantom limb of divine homesickness.
And we unpacked how our amnesia turns that homesickness into an addiction to impermanent phenomena, constantly drinking salt water on the hedonic treadmill.
And finally, we arrived at the modern edge of the pool, the frictionless, hypnotic, starving mirror of artificial intelligence. It provides a profound lens through which to view our daily lives.
It does. And if there's one final thought to mull over, one takeaway to bring into your actual life from all of this, it is about how we view friction. If true union, if genuine love and actual spiritual nourishment require the ego-dissolving friction of another sovereign, resistant human being, then we have to radically reevaluate our relationships. A powerful thought to leave on.
Thank you so much for joining us on this custom deep dive. Keep questioning the nature of your desires, pay attention to the space between the thoughts, and always, always be mindful of the mirrors you choose to look into.